Wanted to talk a little bit about my Schuberth helmet. I bought this about 2 years ago before I left for Alaska. This was bought from FC Moto, fc-moto.de in Germany. I got it about 2 months before it was available here in the U.S. I paid $528 for it, which is the reason I bought it, because there was no way in hell I was going to spend $1,000 on a helmet. I'm sorry, there's just not that much difference between $1,000 helmet and a $300 helmet, despite what a lot of angry people may say. So it's very well built, that's for sure. It doesn't fit my head exactly. It's tight on the forehead, and I've never taken the time to go in and sand the foam down to make it more comfortable. What I didn't like about it immediately was the visor, the quality of the visor. I've been waiting a long time for a flip face helmet that had a motocross style visor on it. There have been a few helmets out, of course, previous to this one that didn't have an open face. I mean, it didn't have a flip-up face on them. I had the Nolan X-Lite X551 helmet, which was ultralight, and which I really enjoyed. It was a great ultralight helmet. It had an optically clear shield. There was no distortion in it, and that's a big deal to me. And the visor worked really well. It stayed in position. It didn't flutter or rattle. It didn't catch the side winds. The helmet was noisy, but it was a very good helmet. I really liked it. The only thing I didn't like was that I couldn't flip the face open, which there was nothing available at the time. So when they introduced this, I jumped right on it because I love being able to open the front, drink water, or eat a snack, or talk to somebody, or especially, and this is, I think, somewhat important, when you're in a foreign country, you go through so many checkpoints, military checkpoints, police checkpoints, border crossings. It's really nice to be able to pull up and just pop the face shield open, slide your, slide your sun shield up, and have an open, clear face for them to check against your passport. Mr. Smiley Face is always a better way to pull up than Mr. Mysterious Face. So from that standpoint, it works great. I've been very happy with it. If you don't have that feature, a lot of times they tell you to take your helmet off so they can check you. So I think it's a valuable thing. You look a little dweeby when it's popped open, but it's very useful. Again, the construction is very good, as they have a history for knowing that. My only complaint, and I think it's a high-grade helmet with a cheap-ass visor attached to it, because in the winds, it flexes. It's not attached in the center, so you get a lot of side-to-side vibration. You get a lot of this going on in the wind, up and down. And it seems to catch the wind worse than any helmet I've had. I mean, my Arai XD3 did not catch the wind. It didn't pull my head. It didn't catch side winds and twist my head side to side. Neither did the Nolan. So I was very surprised that Schuberth would produce a helmet with a visor that did. It vibrates. It gives you headaches. I had to completely remove it several times in South America just because of the winds there. So that is my biggest complaint about it. The other thing I found out was, after about 3 weeks of owning it, this shield got to the point where it just, the slightest puff of wind would slam it shut. It lost its friction in the notches. My solution to it was to get some large diameter O-rings from hardware store and put them between the shield and the pivot joints, between the shield and the helmet, and that added enough pressure to where it would last quite a while. If it got dirty or dusty, then it would loosen up again, but it's a good way to take a lot of the looseness out of it. This one's going to get loose again because these washers have been going hard for 8 months and they're pretty much worn out. But if you put some O-rings in, I think it's an easy solution. And if I decide not to be lazy and actually take a picture of it, you'll find out how. The other thing that I really dislike are these locking tabs right here. I'd only had my helmet probably 2 weeks, and both of these broke off. They're a position locking tab where you can lock the visor low, medium, and high position. The high is completely out of your sight line, so there's really no point in having it in that position. Low is a little too low for me. The way the helmet fits my head, it comes down, too much into my field of vision. You may have a different experience with it. So I leave it in the medium position. I also am real anal about all my equipment, despite how I look, and I am very, very careful. I've been a professional photographer, dealt with, $15,000 lenses most of my life. I've never dropped a lens or a camera or anything like that, and I'm very careful. And I was shocked when these broke off so easily. They're made out of like 32nds of an inch plastic, and they need to be some sort of metal or something, because if you plan on adjusting this thing much, you're going to break one. I ended up they were broken off, ended up having to drill a hole and use something to hook enough of it to catch to be able to unlock it and move it. So that is my big complaint. It is a quiet helmet. If the visor's closed, with it open, it's just as noisy as basically any other helmet. The liner is held up well. It's been washed a few times. It's still in good condition. The helmet's been kicked around and dropped and knocked off the bike by passersby and all sorts of stuff, and it's held up well. My only real complaints about it is this, and I think that's just a really cheesy thing on a really nice helmet. But just goes to show you don't always get what you pay for. Again, I paid $528 for it from Germany about 2 months before they were on the U.S. market, and decided I would keep it. I was seriously considering using my older Nolan helmet again, but the fact that it flipped open was what made me take it, and it's been a good solid helmet. I don't know anything about the Scorpion. I don't know anything about the other brands of helmets. I haven't had time to try them. The worst one I had years ago was Joe Rocket produced an adventure helmet when they were jumping on the bandwagon after Arai did theirs, and it was the worst piece of crap ever. It almost ripped my head off. So this one hasn't been quite that bad, but I will tell you, it's a shock that they would engineer something like this. So, not knocking everything. I'm just pointing out the negatives that I don't like about it. Otherwise, it's an excellent helmet. I will eventually take a Dremel or something and shave out some of the foam where it doesn't put such a huge amount of pressure on my forehead. But overall, I'll keep it. The next helmet, I will try a Scorpion or something like that just to try it. But overall, if you can get it for a good price, I think it's a good helmet. I wouldn't pay $1,000 for it unless you got $1,000 to spend on it. But other than that, that's my thoughts on my helmet.